What up, guys? I just got choked. What up, guys? Joachim here. Joachim Justin Morgan, aka Joachim the Convert. And this video, I am going to do something a little bit different than normal. This is going to talk about psalm tones. So that is not something that goes on a lot in the Eastern Rite that I've seen. And it is something that is very helpful, I think, especially if you're interested in chanting at church, or you're asked to chant at church, or you're just chanting at home and you want to sing the psalter. So when my wife and I do morning and evening prayer with our kids, we generally do the Psalms. So I'm going to read. I actually made a Facebook post about this, so I hope you guys don't mind, but I'm going to go over to my Facebook page now and look at that. So you can see I've posted this here. I have an example, this same psalm tone area that I talked about. So there are 8 total psalm tones, and I'm going to read down this first just to give a little bit of information on it. And I made a link to a playlist where you can listen to these psalm tones if you're not able to read music very well, or you have a hard time with that. But so I say in the post that these are the most basic versions of the 8 psalm tones used in the Latin, Sarum, and other Western church rites. The psalms are separated into morning and evening prayer, and it takes 30 days to complete the cycle. So in most psalters, they'll actually be separated by days. It'll say day 1, morning, day 1, evening, day 2, morning, day 2, evening, etc. It'll go through all 30 days. So for Eastern Rite psalters or psalm books, this would be about 1 stasis in the morning and 1 in the evening. So in the Eastern Rite, the psalters are broken up by kathisma, and so there are 20 kathisma, I think, and those, is that right? I think I'm messing that up. I can't remember how many kathisma there are now, or how many it's broken up into. But if you follow the psalter exactly out, there would be 3 per day. So 3 stases makes 1 kathisma, and then I'm not sure how that works. I can't remember, but it would be approximately, in total there's 60 stases in the psalter. So that means that if you do about 1 stasis per day, it would be about one of these morning, evening prayers, the way it's separated into, these Western style psalters. So I made a playlist that you can listen to of these. The first 8 videos in the playlist are the first 8 tones. So the first video on the playlist would be tone 1, the second tone 2, etc., etc. And then I talk a little bit about some of these other variations. So there's other variations of how to do these. These are just the most basic versions. And obviously when you do these, you actually do have to kind of, modify them each time. This is just a rough guide to it. But I said that I think that chanting or singing, as opposed to just reading, which is good too, the Psalms keeps an attitude of prayer, and it makes it more like being at church, and helps keep in mind that you join with countless thousands of Christians that keep the ancient traditions of morning and evening prayer, aside from joining with the legions of saints from every age in the world that sing day and night before Christ in heaven. Just reading them without chanting is great if you can't chant, or if it's too difficult to learn, but chanting them is worthwhile if you can. They, of course, don't need to be chanted according to these particular tones, but these are what I personally like and what is common to Western Christianity. So when we do these at home, my wife doesn't read music. Well, she can read music, but she doesn't really like the idea of having to follow these. So she just kind of chants, more freely, I guess. Whereas we trade off. I do a psalm, she does a psalm. And then, when I do them, though, I follow one of these tones. I just follow the 1 tone per day. So morning prayer will be done with 1 tone. Sometimes I'll go on to the next one in the evening. Sometimes I'll do the same one for a day. There's no rule about how to do them according to that, but these are just examples that you can do. So the playlist actually has the examples, but I'm going to try to do one that if I don't mess it up. So what is this? I've used this example here. So you can see there's this period in the middle, or it's like a little star sign. When you see that, that is where corresponds to where the middle of the measures are here too. So like each one has 2 measures. This would be 1 verse. So dum da 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 dum. And I notice I've included the accidentals over here. So this would be in the key of B flat. So that means that B flat and E flat would be flat. So da 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 dum. And then the next measure would be da 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 da. You know, however long it takes to get to the end. Da 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 da. So that would be tone 1. And if we were to put words to it, as an example, here you would say, Lord, thou hast been our refuge from one generation to another. And then you're going to the next verse. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever the earth and the world were made, thou art God from everlasting and world without end. Okay, so that's 1. You know, if we were to go to the next one, tone 2 is da 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 da. All right, so now that I have that melody down, Lord, thou. Sorry about that. My kids' school was calling me. They're always calling with kinds of crazy stuff. So to continue on, tone 2, da 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 da. All right, so that same melody. It doesn't matter what psalm we're doing. They all work according to the same pattern. Lord, thou hast been our refuge from one generation to another. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever the earth and the world were made, thou art God from everlasting and world without end. Thou turnest man to destruction. Again thou sayest, come again, ye children of men. So I tried to do a little bit of variation on that there. I'm going to do 1 more of these, and this example will just be up. You can screenshot this if you read music and want to follow along with this. If someone has a blog they want to screenshot this and post it to, I would be fine with that. I looked for something like this that was just simple and easy to follow for someone that reads music when I started learning the psalm tones, and I couldn't find it easily on the internet. So hopefully this provides something for those of you that are interested in doing something like this. But so Psalm tone 3, da 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 da. Okay, so that's that tone. Lord, thou hast been our refuge from one generation to another. I think I messed that up. To another. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever the earth and the world were made, thou art God from everlasting and world without end. Thou turnest man to destruction. Again thou sayest, come again, ye children of men. So that's just, I've done 3 tones using the examples from this one psalm. This would be, if we're looking at the Psalter, the 18th day of the month, and just for the morning prayer. And I only did like a top of the first psalm, so the first 3 verses, just to use an example. This type of Psalter is actually free on the internet, though. You guys can see my search history. I've got all kinds of crazy stuff up here. I'm gonna go to my history. I wanted to find examples of this. I actually have these psalters, like this one that I have on here. They're on the internet for free. Like, you don't have to, buy one or anything like that. I bought one because I think I prefer to read from a book. I don't really like to. This is the 1928 Book of Common Prayer. This is an Anglican Book of Common Prayer. I think that's fine. The 1928, I think it's the same Psalter that's in the Antiochian Rite, Orthodox, Eastern or Western Rite prayer books. I typically know the name of the Psalter, but Thomas Coverdale. So the Coverdale Psalter, I think that's what the Psalter from Ancient Faith Bookstore uses as well. So, it's a popular Psalter. But you can see evening prayer here. I'll post this link in the description box below. I hope you're not too put off that it's from an Anglican source, but it's the same translation, and I really it's a good source for the Psalter. My wife likes to read it from her phone when we chant the Psalms. I prefer to read from an actual book. I don't like using my phone during prayer or during chanting from the Psalter. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You are just reading from it the same way you would from a prayer book. I just don't care for it myself. I prefer to use a regular book, so I'm old-fashioned like that, I guess, and my wife is a little more modern, but it has, the Psalms separated by these same days. You see, here's the 12th day morning prayer. Go down a little bit. Evening prayer, same for this 12th day. Next day, the 13th day morning prayer, etc., etc. It goes on and on and on. So, however you do it is fine. You don't have to have these little points in there either. Obviously, you can just kind of find a comma or something in the middle of a verse if you just go to a regular Bible. So I have Bibles on my phone. The Orthodox Study Bible is here. So, I actually have a psalm pulled up. So, beginning on verse 2, I will give thanks to you, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will tell of your wondrous things. I will be glad and rejoice in you. I will sing praise to your name, O Most High. So you actually don't need the dot in there. It's helpful, and it's kind of a tradition of how to do that. So hopefully this is informative for you guys that are interested in this kind of thing. And so that's just another tool in your tool belt if you're, following those kinds of rites for prayer. You guys take it easy, and I'll talk to you in a video coming very soon.